You're about to see the 15th world champion Vishy Anad absolutely dismantling his Super GM opponent Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, better known as MVL. So let's check this one out. Vishy with white, he kicks off here with pawn to e4. So e5 from MVL. We get these knights developing, and this is the Petrov defense, or Russian, reputation for being rock solid. So Vishy takes here, we get d6, kicking back this knight. Now the pawn is chopped, and we get this quirky bishop to d3 move. Looks weird, blocking the b pawn. We saw this played recently, I think it was Magnus. And now after d5, Maxime has a very interesting idea in mind, because we get castles, bishop e7, rook e1 from Vishy, pressuring this knight, threatening to win a pawn. What does MVL do? He just castles the king. Not forced. You could retreat that knight or defend it. But what MVL is saying is that after captures, rook captures, which was played, Vishy's a pawn up. Well, now he's going to try and use this open board for the bishops here. Plus black has got a small lead in development because this rook's going to have to take some time to retreat soon. It's a target in the center of the board. So we get c5 from MVL, gaining central space before developing his knight. Vishy now develops, knight c6, pawn d3, and pawn to b6. We can see where that light squared bishop's heading, and that's where it wants to become this monster, unopposed by white, who gave up that piece. So bishop f4 from Vishy. This one fianchettos, rook e1 played, coming off the x-ray of that bishop, and knight d4, very logical. There's a lot of pressure here, knight and bishop combining, and so Anand's basically forced to take in the center. The pawn recaptures, knight e4, and we should note now that with that change of pawn structure, not only does black have the space, nice open board for the bishops, but also this c2 pawn is now backwards and weak. So we get rook c8, immediately targeting. f3 now from Vishy. Looks a bit ugly, opening this diagonal to the king, but we can see that one's going to be closed for some time, and now this bishop is biting on granite for the time being. So queen d7 continues development, queen d2 from Vishy, and now rook c6 prepares to double those rooks, target this weak pawn, and so queen f2 is now played. So that in the event of the rooks doubling, which didn't happen, you can see the board's just gone greyed out there, well then we'd have seen rook e2. That seems to be the idea of sliding this queen, allowing that move. You could also play this one too. But what we see in the game is here MVL just changes tact. He goes pawn f5, trying to attack that king, misplace that well-placed knight. Okay, I'm stumbling over all my words. So the knight jumps back to g3, and now the rook from e1 opens up against the bishop, so it moves out here to h4. An annoying pin, as we can see down here. Plus, now it's not attacked, the queen doesn't have to babysit it. So queen d2 comes back, breaks this pin here, and now we don't see the doubling of the rooks. If we did, well now rook e2 is not so good, well unless you're prepared to give up the queen, so then probably Vishy would have gone rook a to c1, but instead Maxime, he goes pawn h6. Very direct threat. Pawn g5, trying to make this bishop look a bit clumsy, then gain space with f4, so Vishy goes queen b4. Now it does give some retreat room, but actually when you click a bit deeper, there's more going on here. Because if you go g5 now, well there's a problem, because queen and rook are converging on this e7 square, big theme of the game now, and once you go g5, you block this bishop's support of that square. So rook e7 is really strong here. After the queen moves, well then there's bishop e5. Now you're converging on this square. Now I won't keep going on the line, but this is good for white. So this is why g5 wasn't played. We had rook c5, interrupting this connection of queen and rook, and now rook e2 gets out of this pin down here, overprotects the pawn. And just one thing to note, by the way, coming back here, if black had taken the pawn here, well then you run into queen b3 check, you're picking up a piece. So rook c5, rook e2, and now MVL, he does get on with pawn to g5, because of course the rook has now intercepted the queen's convergence on that square. So the bishop slides into e5 here, looks very aggressive, but it's MVL with a bit of an initiative. Pawn f4, where's that knight going? Well, Vishy does not move the knight. This is where the tactics just explode, right? Vishy is 53 years old. He's playing against MVL, who is an older player in his 30s or so, I guess. But still, he's got like 20 years, age on MVL. He's going toe to toe in these tactics here, low on time. I mean, it's just awesome. What an icon. Doesn't move the knight, takes on d4 with the bishop. And now the top line of the engine here is to actually take this knight. Then bishop takes on c5. We get takes here with check. King recaptures, pawn takes, queen takes. Long line, but fairly forcing. And now rook f7, top move, again to cover the invasion on this square. And now the computer says, move this queen somewhere, queen e3 a top move. But it says this is an equal position because even though white has, not got an exchange up, sorry, it's two bishops for the exchange. White has some extra pawns, but black's got those two bishops. And you can't go g3 to trap, by the way, or takes with check, and you crash through here. Anyway, so this is the computer's top line, just rewinding here. After bishop takes on d4 is to take that knight. But what MVL does is pawn a5. So he's trying to distract the queen from the defense of this bishop. Then black can take with check, then pick up the knight. Very nice, very harmonious. And if you take here, yeah, same problem. You drop that piece. So Vishy drops back with check. But Maxime, he blocks the check with the bishop and counterattacks the queen. So the queen's attacked, the knight's still attacked. If this one ever moves, then the bishop is hanging behind. So what does Vishy do? Only move. He goes pawn c4, blocking the attack, but also counterattacking here. And so MVL plays the top move in the position that he's prepared. Bishop takes on c4, still hitting that queen, saying, okay, Vishy, if you capture with the pawn, I'm going to take here with check. Your king slides, I pick up a second minor piece, and the line could go something like this. Rook takes on c4, and black's just better, literally a minor piece ahead here. So the tactics are crazy. What are you doing? Again, if you save your knight, say you go knight e4, there's queen takes d4 with check. Really good. King h1 goes, and then bishop takes b3. Sorry, yeah, the entire queen's hanging. So you have to do something about your queen. What does Vishy do? Well, can you find the only move that Vishy finds? It was in the thumbnail, maybe gave it away, but in case you didn't see it. So the move Vishy plays is queen c3. Gets his queen out of the attack, also defends his bishop now, and yes, his knight is hanging, but then so is this bishop hanging. So if takes here now, which wasn't played, well then this bishop takes on c5. And this is just good for white, because not only are you hitting the bishop here, but this one's still hanging. Won't keep going on the line. But what we see instead is rook d5. Top move, again saying, okay, if you take here, I'll take here. Computer gives this level. And coming back here, if you take with the queen, trying to create this pin, well, now there's b5. And you can't maintain the pin, or then a4 comes. You drop back, this one drops. Yes, you can save here, but again, it's roughly level. Lots of lines, I know, complex. But after rook d5, Vishy finds the top move of bishop to f6. So he saves that piece. Now saying to Maxime, which of these pieces do you want to capture? Do you want to capture the knight on g3, or do you want to save your own bishop? Well, MVL, he goes for this one, top move. And now Vishy goes rook e7. This same theme, using that invasion square and then swinging here. So the queen saves itself from the attack. You see the eval bar go there because queen f5 was the preferred move. But the time's low now. These are tricky positions. We get rook g7 check, the king goes, and now we've got this absolute classic windmill. Vishy's got a draw on tap if he wants it. But after king g8, check once again, gaining some seconds. He doesn't want that draw because here he unleashes bishop e7, hitting the queen, hitting the rook, and threatening checkmate in one move. How do you solve all those problems? Say you go queen g6 to cover the mate square. Well, now you're getting mated like this. The king goes here, and you can mate down here, or you can do it with the rook. You know, really nice stuff. So what we see instead is takes with check, king h1, and now the queen just gets given up. There's nothing you can do because of the mate problems. So rook takes, bishop takes, rook recaptures bishop, and the queen takes on c4. So the smoke's cleared. We've got a queen for 2 rooks, a rook for a bishop, and the pawns are level. So Vishy is ahead here, but he's got to show some technique. Bishop g3 covers this pawn. MVL going for a dark squared grip. But queen g4 now breaks the control, because after bishop f4 we get g3, pummeling that bishop back and then preparing to capture this pawn. But as ever with the great players, they time things so well. Vishy brings another piece into the game, not rushing to capture this pawn. We get bishop takes on b2, that one was attacked. Now rook e6, offering an exchange, trying to get those pieces off the board, use the power of the queen. And the best here, according to the engine, was actually taking. Queen takes, king g7, holding this pawn here. Yes, you drop this one, but anyway, the engine wants to play this position with bishop c3 or even bishop e5, it says, that kind of thing. But what we see in the game is MVL take here, very logical, because now you're on this pawn too, but Vishy does get to capture here. We see rook takes on f3. Queen g5, check, and this is why the engine doesn't love it, because now you're getting through to the king. Bishop g7 blocks, the rook takes on b6, rook f2, covers this dangerous pawn, but now it's Vishy who's really attacking MVL. We get the check, the king goes, check, king g6, queen h4 check, e4 check, the rook now blocks, and this is a big mistake. If you don't block, by the way, if you come back with king h6, then rook b5 is still really strong. Swinging across here, there's still ideas to check from here and things, lots going on. But what we see in the game is the rook blocking, and after rook b6 check, MVL actually resigned and threw in the towel. Why? Well, now let me think of the lines, bishop f6 is the top computer move, well then there's pawn g4. This is the big problem, and you've got a rook dropping off for a pawn. And coming back here, if instead of blocking, you play something like king g5, well now you get mated in one. What other lines are there to show? I'm just trying to think. Yeah, say you step back here, for example. Rook b5 still pressures. If king back, then you can take g4. All the same kind of themes, right? You're losing your rook or you're getting mated. So Vishy Anad, absolute masterclass. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you want to see his game against Magnus Carlsen, same tournament, check out the video on screen, and don't forget to subscribe to never miss a future one. Thanks very much for watching, and see you soon.